The cry for help. The jungle was silent, but it was not the silence of peace. It was the silence of danger. Thick black trees rose high into the sky, their roots twisted like the claws of a beast. Strange glowing plants spread their light, but the light only made the shadows deeper. Something was hiding in those shadows, something waiting. Through this wild alien forest, a small figure ran. It was a child, not human. Its skin was pale silver, and its eyes were wide with fear. The child's tiny legs shook as it stumbled over roots and stones, but still it ran, clutching its chest, crying out into the dark. "Human! Human! Please help!" The child screamed. The sound broke the heavy silence. The jungle seemed to wake. Animals stirred. Wings flapped. Something hissed in the distance. Behind the child, a tall figure limped. It was the mother. Her foot was caught in a cruel trap made of bone and metal. The trap had sharp glowing wires that cut deep into her skin. She pulled, but the more she pulled, the deeper the wires cut. Blood dripped on the ground, shining like dark fire in the glow of the plants. The mother groaned, her voice heavy with pain. "Run, child. Go find the human," she said. But the child shook its head, crying harder. "I will not leave you, mother. Your foot hurts. You are trapped." The jungle answered with a strange sound. A branch cracked. Heavy footsteps moved closer. The hunters were near. The child froze, its heart beating fast. It looked into the shadows, but could not see what was coming. Far away, another figure moved. This one was different. He was human. Alone in this alien world, he had wandered into the jungle searching for food and water. His clothes were torn, his face was tired, but his eyes were sharp. He heard the cry, the sound of a desperate child calling for help. The human stopped, listening. In this dangerous place, any sound could to be a trap, but something in that voice was real. It was fear. It was pain. He could not ignore it. He picked up a stick, sharpened at the end, and moved toward the sound. The child ran into him suddenly, crashing into his legs. It looked up with wide silver eyes full of tears. "Please, human, my mom's foot hurts. She is caught. You must help." The human bent down. He had never seen such a creature before. Small, fragile, alien. Yet the tears in its eyes were the same as any child's. He nodded slowly. "Show me," he said. The child grabbed his hand with its tiny cold fingers and pulled him toward the trees. The human followed, his heart beating fast. He could hear strange whispers in the jungle, the kind of whispers that told him eyes were watching. When they reached the place, he saw the mother. She was tall, her skin glowing faintly under the strange light of the plants. Her foot was stuck in the savage trap, blood running down her ankle. Her face was strong but now twisted in pain. The human stepped closer, studying the trap. It was not made by nature. It was designed, sharp, cruel, and intelligent. He knew at once. Someone had placed it here. It was bait, a trap not for animals, but for people. The mother raised her head weakly. Her voice was soft, but full of warning. "Human, do not stay here. They will come. They always come when the trap is touched." The child clung to the human's side, whispering, "Please, don't leave us. Save my mom." The human's eyes narrowed. He could feel danger closing in. He could hear the jungle breathing. But he also knew one thing. He could not turn away. He looked at the mother, then at the trap. He held the stick tighter in his hand. His voice was low but steady. "I will help." And in that moment, the silence of the jungle broke. A low growl rose from the darkness. Eyes glowed in the shadows. The hunters were near, watching, waiting. The story had just begun. The unexpected human. The jungle was breathing heavy around them. Dark air pressed against the trees. The human stood still, his hand tight on the sharp stick. He could feel eyes in the shadows, watching him, testing him. The child pulled his arm, begging, "Please, human, hurry. Save her before they come." Its voice cracked with fear, but also with trust. The human nodded, moving closer to the wounded mother. The trap was cruel, bone and wire locked tight around her ankle. The wires glowed with strange energy. Each time she tried to move, sparks of pain shot through her leg. The human knelt beside her, his mind racing. He had never seen such a thing before, but he knew one truth. Every trap had a weakness. The mother's silver eyes watched him. She studied his face, this strange creature of flesh and bone. So fragile, so small, yet standing with courage, she whispered, "You should run, human. They will come for me, and they will kill you too." The human looked up at her. His voice was calm. "Maybe, but I don't run when a child cries for help." His words carried a strange weight. The alien mother felt it in her heart. The jungle stirred. A sound of branches snapping, slow, heavy steps drawing closer. The hunters were near. The human had no time. He studied the trap again. His eyes traced every wire, every joint. He remembered how his people once caught animals on his homeworld. He remembered how they freed them. He broke a branch, long and strong, and pushed it carefully into the trap. The wires hissed. Sparks of blue fire jumped. The human's hands burned with pain, but he did not stop. He twisted the stick, prying the wires apart. The trap screamed, a strange metallic cry. The glowing wires loosened. The mother gasped as her foot came free. Blood rushed, but the pain of the trap was gone. She collapsed back, breathing hard. Her child rushed to her side, crying with relief, but the jungle answered with a roar. The trap's cry was a signal, and it had been heard. From the shadows stepped figures, tall and armored. Their eyes glowed red, their weapons curved like claws. They laughed when they saw the human. One hunter pointed, his voice deep and cruel. "A human, here, in our hunting ground." The others snarled, "Leave him. He is nothing. Weak flesh, weak bones." The human stood tall. His stick looked small against their weapons. His body was nothing compared to their armor, but his eyes were steady. He did not move back. The child clung to his arm, whispering, "Please don't leave us, human, please." The mother raised her hand weakly. "Take my child and run. You cannot fight them." But the human shook his head slowly. His voice was low but strong. "I don't leave anyone behind." The hunters stepped closer. Their footsteps shook the ground. The human's heart pounded, but he did not break. He remembered every lesson his kind had learned through struggle. He remembered that weakness was not always weakness. Sometimes weakness was a mask for something greater. The jungle grew darker. The hunters raised their weapons. The child closed its eyes. The mother tried to stand but fell again. The human moved first. His stick swung fast. He struck the ground, kicking dirt into the eyes of the nearest hunter. The alien roared, stumbling back. The others growled, surprised. The human smiled slightly, not with pride but with fire. He knew the fight had begun. He knew the hunters would not stop. But he also knew something they did not. Humans never gave up. The jungle filled with noise. The hunters circled. The child held its breath. The mother watched with wide eyes, and in that moment, as danger closed in, the human whispered under his breath, "If they think humans are weak, they are about to learn." The shadows trembled. The hunters growled. The game had changed. The savage trap. The jungle grew darker, even though no night had come. The glowing plants dimmed as if they feared what was about to happen. The hunters spread out, their armor shining faintly in the strange light. The human tightened his grip on the stick, his breath slow, his mind sharp. The alien child held onto his arm, its small body shaking. "Please, human, save her. Don't let them take my mother," the child whispered. Its voice was soft, but it cut through the heavy air like a knife. The mother, still weak, tried to push herself up on her elbows. Her eyes glowed faintly with pain. She looked at the human, and for a moment she saw something that confused her. He was not strong like the hunters. He had no armor, no claws, no weapons of power. Yet he stood before them like a wall, unbroken. The lead hunter stepped forward. His mask was carved with jagged scars. His voice was deep and cruel. That trap was meant for the mother, not for a worthless human. He pointed his blade. "Step aside, and we may let you live." The human did not move. His voice was steady. "I don't step aside for bullies." The hunters laughed, their voices echoing through the jungle, but there was something in his words that made them pause. It was not strength of body. It was strength of spirit. The human glanced at the trap again. He could see more hidden in the ground. The jungle floor was littered with clever snares, wires and spikes. The hunters had turned the entire place into a killing field. He realized at once. They had planned for this moment. The child gasped as it noticed another trap, glowing faintly near the roots of a tree. The hunters smiled, waiting. They wanted him to make a wrong step. They wanted the family to fall into their web. The human's mind worked quickly. He crouched, picking up a stone. He threw it onto the glowing wire. Instantly, sharp spikes shot from the ground, stabbing the air where he might have stepped. The child gasped. The mother's eyes widened. The hunters growled in frustration. The human smiled faintly. "Your traps are clever, but not clever enough," he said. His voice was calm, but inside his heart was racing. He had no idea how many traps surrounded them. He only knew one mistake could mean death. The hunters spread wider, circling him like wolves. Their eyes glowed red. Their weapons shimmered in the light. The jungle itself seemed to lean closer, waiting for blood. The human moved carefully, every step tested before he placed his weight. He guided the child away from the glowing wires. He reached for the mother's arm, steadying her. "Stay low, stay close," he whispered. The mother looked at him with new eyes. She whispered back, "Why risk your life for us, human? You owe us nothing." The human's jaw tightened. His answer was simple, "Because I can." The hunter snarled, Angered by his courage, one leapt forward, its blade raised. The human shifted fast, pushing the child aside. He swung his stick, striking the hunter's hand. The blade fell, sparks of light flying into the dirt, but the ground answered with a hiss. The fallen blade touched another trap, and the earth exploded with glowing spikes. The hunter screamed as the trap tore into him. His body collapsed, armor broken. The other hunters roared in rage. Their eyes burned brighter. They had lost one of their own, and now they wanted blood. The human stood tall, his chest rising with deep breath. He had not planned it, but he had used their own trap against them. The child whispered in awe. He tricked them, just like that. The mother's eyes softened. Her pain was heavy, but her voice carried pride. Humans. They see what others do not. The lead hunter's voice shook with fury. Enough games, human. You will die here. The human raised his stick again, his eyes sharp, his voice calm. Maybe, but I will not die on my knees. The jungle held its breath. The hunters stepped closer. Their traps glowed all around, but for the first time, they wondered who was truly trapped, him or them. Human ingenuity. The hunters closed in, their red eyes glowing like fire in the mist. The jungle seemed to trap the small group, walls of roots and vines blocking every path. The alien child gripped the human's hand tightly, its silver eyes wide with fear. The mother sat against a root, her wounded foot bleeding, her strength fading. The lead hunter raised his blade. The mother belongs to us, he said. His voice was filled with cruelty. The child will be taken too. The human can die quickly or slowly. It does not matter. The human stood still, breathing slowly. He knew he could not fight them with strength. He had no armor, no sharp weapons, no great power. But humans had something else, something more dangerous than muscle. They had the mind. His eyes scanned the ground, the trees, the traps still glowing faintly. He saw patterns, wires hidden under leaves, sharpened branches bent like spears, nets strung high in the canopy. The hunters thought these traps belonged to them, but the human understood. A trap could catch anyone, even its master. He bent low, whispering to the child, "Stay close to your mother, and do not move until I tell you." The child nodded quickly, holding its breath. The hunters laughed as the human stepped forward. His stick looked weak compared to their curved blades, but his face was calm, and his eyes sharp. He bent, picked up another stone, and threw it far to the left. The stone struck a wire, and instantly a net of glowing ropes snapped from the trees. One of the hunters roared in surprise as it caught him, wrapping around his arms and legs, pulling him upward into the air. The others froze, staring in shock. The human smiled faintly. "Your traps are clever, but not careful," he said. The lead hunter growled, his voice shaking with rage. "Kill him now!" The others charged forward, their feet thundered against the ground, but the human did not back away. He stepped sideways, pushing a vine with his stick. Another trap triggered, sharp spikes shooting from the ground. The hunters halted, barely stopping before the blades struck them. The jungle itself had become the human's ally. The child gasped in awe, whispering, "He knows where to step. He sees everything." The mother's weak eyes glimmered with something new. She had lived many battles, but she had never seen a creature so fragile use danger as a weapon. One hunter tried to circle from behind. The human dropped low, rolling across the dirt. His hand grabbed a handful of mud and flung it into the hunter's glowing eyes. The alien roared, blinded, stumbling backward straight into another trap. A hidden rope tightened, pulling him into the air. The hunters cursed, their red eyes filled with fury. The human stood tall, dirt covering his face, his breath heavy but steady. He lifted his stick like a soldier holding a spear. The lead hunter stepped closer, slow and careful now. His voice was low. "You are only delaying death, human. You cannot win against us." The human's lips curved into a thin smile. "Maybe not, but I can make sure you remember me." He struck the ground again, shaking loose a root. The jungle floor shifted, and another trap glowed faintly. He kicked dirt over the wires, hiding them. Then he stepped back into the shadows, letting the hunters move forward. One of them rushed, stepping right where he had hidden the trap. In an instant, the ground split, sharp spikes tearing upward. The hunter screamed, his armor cracking. He fell still. The lead hunter's fury grew. His roar shook the trees. "You dare use our own traps against us?" The human's voice was calm, sharp. "As a blade, no, I don't use them against you. You use them against yourselves." The child looked at him with wide, shining eyes, whispering to the mother, "Humans are different. They fight with their heads, not just with their hands." The mother's breath was shallow, but her lips curved faintly. "Yes, child, we are seeing why humans survive." The hunters circled again, now slower, their steps careful, their eyes sharp. They no longer laughed. They no longer called him weak. They had learned something. Humans were dangerous in ways they could not understand. The jungle waited in silence. The human held his stick ready, his mind already searching for the next trap, the next chance. The battle was far from over, but for the first time, the hunters felt something in their hearts they had never felt before. Fear. The hunters appear. The jungle grew restless. The air felt heavy. The glowing plants flickered as if they too feared what was about to happen. From the mist, the hunters stepped forward, no longer hiding in the shadows. Their armor clinked, their blades shimmered, and their eyes burned with red fire. The child gasped and pressed against the human's leg. Its small fingers clung tight. The mother weakly tried to stand, but her wounded foot betrayed her. She leaned back against a thick root, her face pale. The lead hunter raised his curved weapon. His mask of scars glowed under the strange light. His voice carried across the trees. "You dare fight us, human? You dare shame us with our own traps?" His tone was cold, full of rage and pride. The others growled in answer. Their voices shook the air like thunder. They stepped in closer, circling, tightening the cage around the human and the family. The human breathed deep. His stick felt light in his hands. His body was small compared to their armored frames, but his eyes held no fear. He had fought before, not here, not against these creatures, but against hunger, storms, and men stronger than him. He knew what it meant to survive when survival seemed impossible. The child whispered, "They are too many, human. What will we do?" The human glanced down, his voice calm. "We don't give up, not until the end." The hunters lunged forward, testing him. Their blades cut the air, fast and sharp. The human moved quick, ducking low. His stick struck one hunter's leg, not to break, but to trip. The alien stumbled, crashing into another. Both fell into the dirt. The hunters roared in anger. They attacked again, this time faster. Their claws scraped against the ground. Their blades swung dangerously close. Sparks flew as metal struck stone. The human rolled aside, pulling the child with him. He pushed the little one toward its mother. "Stay behind me," he said. The mother's voice was weak but sharp. "Human, you cannot win. You must run. Save yourself." The human shook his head, never looking back. His words cut like steel. "I don't run, not when someone needs me." The hunters rushed again, but this time the human moved toward the trees. He grabbed a hanging vine and pulled hard. A heavy branch snapped loose, crashing down onto two hunters. Their armor cracked. Their cries filled the jungle. The child gasped. "He fights the jungle itself." The mother's eyes glimmered faintly. "No, child. The jungle fights for him." But the lead hunter only laughed. His voice was cruel. "Tricks, nothing more. You are still weak. You will still die." He raised his blade and charged, faster than the others. His strikes were heavy, each one meant to kill. The human blocked with his stick, but the force threw him back. His arm burned with pain. He staggered, but did not fall. He slid sideways, eyes sharp, studying the ground. Another trap glowed faintly under the dirt. He moved just enough, luring the hunter toward it. The lead hunter stepped forward without seeing. The ground hissed, and spikes shot up. He jumped back at the last second, but the sharp edge scraped his leg. His blood hit the soil, dark and heavy. The chase. The storm had calmed, leaving the frozen world quiet. The human stood near the window of his ship, staring into the endless white. Something deep inside told him the silence was not safe. He had traveled too many worlds to ignore the weight of instinct. Danger was coming, though he could not yet see it. The sisters stirred behind him, their glowing eyes opening slowly. They pressed close together, sensing the unease in the air. Children did not always need words to know when fear was near. The human turned and smiled gently, trying to hide his worry. But his hands moved quickly, packing supplies, checking tools, preparing for escape. Outside, far across the valley, alien patrols cut through the snow. Their sleds glided like shadows, engines glowing blue against the white. Scanners beeped as they tracked the faint warmth left by the human's landing. The soldiers moved in silence, their faces hidden under steel masks. They were hunters now, bound by the command of the elders. The man's scanner beeped suddenly, a faint signal flashing red. He leaned over the screen, frowning. Multiple heat signatures were closing in, too steady to be natural. His heart tightened. "They've found us," he whispered under his breath. The eldest sister watched him closely, her eyes narrowing as if she understood. She grabbed the younger ones, pulling them closer. The glow of their skin brightened slightly, fear mixing with a strange energy. The human noticed but had no time to wonder. He rushed to the controls, starting the engines of his ship. The sleds appeared on the horizon, small black dots racing across the snow. The storm's silence broke with the roar of engines. The chase had begun. The human pushed the ship into motion, the engines shaking against the icy ground. Snow flew in every direction as the vessel struggled to lift. The patrols fired first, beams of blue light. Teeth slicing through the air. One shot struck the ground near the ship, sending ice flying like knives. The sisters cried out, covering their ears. The man gritted his teeth, pulling the ship higher. "Hold on," he said. Though the children could not understand, the sleds gave chase, fast and agile, cutting across the snow like predators. The ship gained height, but the storm winds made it difficult. The human twisted the controls, guiding the vessel through sharp turns. Another blast hit the side, shaking the cabin. The sisters clung to each other, their eyes wide with terror. He fought to stay calm, his mind raced with choices: fight, run, or hide. But looking back at the three glowing children, he knew only one answer. He would not leave them, not to the snow, not to the law. He would protect them, even if it cost his life. The patrols closed in, surrounding the ship from both sides. Through the window, the man saw masked faces, weapons aimed. The eldest sister pressed her hand against the glass, her glow brighter now. Something stirred in the air, a strange vibration. The man glanced at her, confusion mixing with awe, but there was no time to think. He pushed the engines harder, forcing the ship upward through the storm. The patrols fired again, beams striking the snow below. The ice cracked, massive chunks breaking apart. The sleds swerved wildly, some nearly swallowed by the splitting ground. The human's ship shot into the air, engines roaring. The patrols fell behind, though their glowing lights still burned below. Inside, the sisters trembled, but remained together. The man steadied the ship, his breath heavy. The chase was not over. He knew they would return, stronger and angrier. As the vessel disappeared into the clouds, the eldest sister whispered something in her alien tongue. The human could not understand the words, but he felt their meaning. It was a promise, silent but powerful. They would not be hunted forever. Something deep inside these children was waiting to awaken. The cry for help. The jungle was silent, but it was not the silence of peace. It was the silence of danger. Thick black trees rose high into the sky, their roots twisted like the claws of a beast. Strange glowing plants spread their light, but the light only made the shadows deeper. Something was hiding in those shadows, something waiting. Through this wild alien forest, a small figure ran. It was a child, not human. Its skin was pale silver, and its eyes were wide with fear. The child's tiny legs shook as it stumbled over roots and stones, but still it ran, clutching its chest, crying out into the dark. "Human! Human! Please help!" The child screamed. The sound broke the heavy silence. The jungle seemed to wake. Animals stirred. Wings flapped. Something hissed in the distance. Behind the child, a tall figure limped. It was the mother. Her foot was caught in a cruel trap made of bone and metal. The trap had sharp glowing wires that cut deep into her skin. She pulled, but the more she pulled, the deeper the wires cut. Blood dripped on the ground, shining like dark fire in the glow of the plants. The mother groaned, her voice heavy with pain. "Run, child. Go find the human," she said. But the child shook its head, crying harder. "I will not leave you, mother. Your foot hurts. You are trapped." The jungle answered with a strange sound. A branch cracked. Heavy footsteps moved closer. The hunters were near. The child froze, its heart beating fast. It looked into the shadows, but could not see what was coming. Far away, another figure moved. This one was different. He was human. Alone in this alien world, he had wandered into the jungle searching for food and water. His clothes were torn, his face was tired, but his eyes were sharp. He heard the cry, the sound of a desperate child calling for help. The human stopped, listening. In this dangerous place, any sound could to be a trap. But something in that voice was real. It was fear. It was pain. He could not ignore it. He picked up a stick, sharpened at the end, and moved toward the sound. The child ran into him suddenly, crashing into his legs. It looked up with wide silver eyes full of tears. "Please, human, my mom's foot hurts. She is caught. You must help." The human bent down. He had never seen such a creature before. Small, fragile, alien. Yet the tears in its eyes were the same as any child's. He nodded slowly. "Show me," he said. The child grabbed his hand with its tiny cold fingers and pulled him toward the trees. The human followed, his heart beating fast. He could hear strange whispers in the jungle, the kind of whispers that told him eyes were watching. When they reached the place, he saw the mother. She was tall, her skin glowing faintly under the strange light of the plants. Her foot was stuck in the savage trap, blood running down her ankle. Her face was strong but now twisted in pain. The human stepped closer, studying the trap. It was not made by nature. It was designed, sharp, cruel, and intelligent. He knew at once. Someone had placed it here. It was bait, a trap not for animals, but for people. The mother raised her head weakly. Her voice was soft, but full of warning. Human, do not stay here. They will come. They always come when the trap is touched. The child clung to the human's side, whispering, "Please, don't leave us. Save my mom." The human's eyes narrowed. He could feel danger closing in. He could hear the jungle breathing. But he also knew one thing. He could not turn away. He looked at the mother, then at the trap. He held the stick tighter in his hand. His voice was low but steady. "I will help." And in that moment, the silence of the jungle broke. A low growl rose from the darkness. Eyes glowed in the shadows. The hunters were near, watching, waiting. The story had just begun. The cry for help. The jungle was silent, but it was not the silence of peace. It was the silence of danger. Thick black trees rose high into the sky, their roots twisted like the claws of a beast. Strange glowing plants spread their light, but the light only made the shadows deeper. Something was hiding in those shadows, something waiting. Through this wild alien forest, a small figure ran. It was a child, not human. Its skin was pale silver, and its eyes were wide with fear. The child's tiny legs shook as it stumbled over roots and stones, but still it ran, clutching its chest, crying out into the dark. "Human! Human! Please help!" The child screamed. The sound broke the heavy silence. The jungle seemed to wake. Animals stirred. Wings flapped. Something hissed in the distance. Behind the child, a tall figure limped. It was the mother. Her foot was caught in a cruel trap made of bone and metal. The trap had sharp glowing wires that cut deep into her skin. She pulled, but the more she pulled, the deeper the wires cut. Blood dripped on the ground, shining like dark fire in the glow of the plants. The mother groaned, her voice heavy with pain. "Run, child. Go find the human," she said. But the child shook its head, crying harder. "I will not leave you, mother. Your foot hurts. You are trapped." The jungle answered with a strange sound. A branch cracked. Heavy footsteps moved closer. The hunters were near. The child froze, its heart beating fast. It looked into the shadows, but could not see what was coming. Far away, another figure moved. This one was different. He was human. Alone in this alien world, he had wandered into the jungle searching for food and water. His clothes were torn, his face was tired, but his eyes were sharp. He heard the cry, the sound of a desperate child calling for help. The human stopped, listening. In this dangerous place, any sound could to be a trap, but something in that voice was real. It was fear. It was pain. He could not ignore it. He picked up a stick, sharpened at the end, and moved toward the sound. The child ran into him suddenly, crashing into his legs. It looked up with wide silver eyes full of tears. "Please, human, my mom's foot hurts. She is caught. You must help." The human bent down. He had never seen such a creature before. Small, fragile, alien. Yet the tears in its eyes were the same as any child's. He nodded slowly. "Show me," he said. The child grabbed his hand with its tiny cold fingers and pulled him toward the trees. The human followed, his heart beating fast. He could hear strange whispers in the jungle, the kind of whispers that told him eyes were watching. When they reached the place, he saw the mother. She was tall, her skin glowing faintly under the strange light of the plants. Her foot was stuck in the savage trap, blood running down her ankle. Her face was strong but now twisted in pain. The human stepped closer, studying the trap. It was not made by nature. It was designed, sharp, cruel, and intelligent. He knew at once. Someone had placed it here. It was bait, a trap not for animals, but for people. The mother raised her head weakly. Her voice was soft, but full of warning. "Human, do not stay here. They will come. They always come when the trap is touched." The child clung to the human's side, whispering, "Please, don't leave us. Save my mom." The human's eyes narrowed. He could feel danger closing in. He could hear the jungle breathing. But he also knew one thing. He could not turn away. He looked at the mother, then at the trap. He held the stick tighter in his hand. His voice was low but steady. "I will help." And in that moment, the silence of the jungle broke. A low growl rose from the darkness. Eyes glowed in the shadows. The hunters were near, watching, waiting. The story had just begun. The human swung what was left of his stick, knocking one hunter back into the water. The alien sank, dragged down by its heavy armor. The others screamed with fury. The family reached the far side, but the human stayed, waiting until the mother and child were safe. Then he ran across, leaping to the bank just as a blade cut the tree behind him. The log cracked, falling into the river, blocking the hunter's path. For a moment, silence. The mother breathed hard, clutching her child. The human wiped blood from his arm, his eyes sharp. "Keep moving, they will find another way." They ran again, deeper into the jungle. The air grew hotter, the light dimmer. Strange animal calls echoed. Glowing eyes blinked from the dark. The jungle was no friend, but it was better than the hunters. Suddenly, the ground shook. A giant beast burst from the trees, its body covered in thick plates, its jaws wide, snapping. The child screamed. The mother froze. The hunters behind shouted with laughter. The jungle will kill them for us. But the human grabbed a sharp rock and hurled it at the beast's eye. The rock struck true. The creature roared in pain, thrashing wildly. Its massive body crashed into the trees, blocking the hunter's path. The human pulled the mother and child past the beast, their feet pounding the dirt. The hunters cursed, trapped behind the raging monster. They pushed deeper into the jungle, but the dangers grew worse. Poisonous vines dripped from the trees, strange insects swarmed in clouds, and quicksand waited in the dark earth. The mother nearly fell into a pit, but the human caught her, dragging her out with all his strength. The child's voice trembled. "Why do you not give up, human? Anyone else would run. Anyone else would leave us." The human's breath was heavy, but his answer was calm. Because humans don't stop when someone needs them. At last, they stumbled into a hidden clearing. The jungle opened to reveal a cave carved into the rock. The human led them inside, helping the mother lie down against the wall. The child collapsed beside her, tears shining. The jungle outside echoed with the hunters' roars. They were still coming, slower now, but certain. The human knew this was not the end, only a pause. He leaned against the cave wall, his stick broken, his arm bleeding, his eyes burned with fire. He whispered to himself, "We survived today, but the fight is not finished." The mother's voice was faint, but filled with respect. "Human, you carry no armor, no power, yet you move like a warrior born. Perhaps the hunters are chasing the wrong prey." The child looked at him with wide eyes, whispering, "Humans are special." The jungle howled again. The hunters would not stop, and the night was only beginning. Alien mother's secret. The cave was dark, lit only by the soft glow of strange moss on the walls. The jungle roared outside, the hunters' voices echoing faintly through the night. Inside, the air was heavy with silence, broken only by the mother's ragged breathing. The child sat close to her, holding her hand, its silver eyes still wet with tears. The human crouched near the entrance, his broken stick ready, his body aching. He listened carefully, waiting for the sound of footsteps. But none came. Not yet. The mother spoke softly, her voice carrying both pain and strength. "Human, do you know why they hunt me?" Her eyes glimmered in the dim light. The human turned to her, shaking his head. "I only know they want you badly, enough to kill for it." She closed her eyes, her memory heavy. "Long ago, I was not only a mother, I was a soldier. I fought in a great war across the stars. My people stood against the hunters' empire. We fought them for years, and many of us fell, but we did not fall easily. We burned the airships, broke their armies. I was one of their greatest enemies." The child's eyes widened. "Mother, you never told me this." The mother's hand trembled. "I wanted to protect you from the past, but the past always finds us." The human leaned closer, his voice low. "So this is not random. They set the trap for you. They wanted you alive." Her face was grim. "Yes, they want me alive, not to honor me, but to break me. They want to show the galaxy that even I, the one who fought them, can be made weak. They want me as their trophy." The child shook its head fiercely. "No, you are not weak. You are my mother." The human studied her with sharp eyes. He saw beyond her wounds, beyond the blood. He saw a warrior's fire still burning, even if faint. His voice was steady. "Then we cannot let them take you. Not alive, not at all." The mother looked at him with surprise. "You speak as if this is your fight too, human." The human gave a faint smile, though his face was tired. "It became my fight the moment your child cried for help." The cave shook with a distant roar. The hunters were moving again, searching the jungle. The human pressed his back to the stone, thinking quickly. His mind worked like a map, marking every danger, every chance. The mother's eyes softened. "You fight with more than your hands. You fight with your mind. I see why the child trusts you." The child whispered, "Humans are not like us, but they are strong in another way." The human looked at them both, his voice quiet but firm. "Strength is not always muscle. Sometimes it is choice. The choice to stand, the choice not to give up." The mother's breathing grew steadier, but her eyes held sadness. "I fear this fight is bigger than you know, human. The hunters do not chase me only for revenge. They chase me because I carry knowledge, knowledge they fear." The human's eyes narrowed. "What kind of knowledge?" The mother's voice was almost a whisper. "I know the secret of their empire. I know how to break them, the cave grew. You colder. The child shivered. The human leaned forward, his heart pounding. Then that is why they will never stop. They fear what you know. She nodded slowly, her silver eyes glowing faintly in the dark. Yes, and now you are caught in this war too. The jungle outside answered with the sound of horns. The hunters were calling to each other, closing in again. The human tightened his grip on the broken stick, his face hard as stone. He whispered to himself, "Then let them come. If they want war, they will see how humans fight it." The mother stared at him, her heart heavy but full of new respect. She whispered, almost to herself, "Perhaps my people were wrong. Perhaps the galaxy's hope does not end with us. Perhaps it begins with humans." The child leaned against her, whispering, "He will save us, Mother. I know he will." The jungle roared again. The hunters drew closer, and the secret of the alien mother burned like fire in the cave. A secret too dangerous to fall into enemy hands. Human versus the leader. The jungle was alive with the sound of horns, deep and cruel. The ground trembled as heavy footsteps came closer. The hunters moved aside, forming a circle, their red eyes glowing brighter, their armor shining under the strange light of the plants. Through the mist, the leader appeared. He was taller than the others, his armor black and scarred from countless battles. His blade was longer, sharper, its edge glowing faintly. His mask was carved with jagged marks, each one a memory of a kill. The child shivered and pressed against the mother. The mother's breath quickened, her eyes narrowed. She whispered, "That is their leader, the one they call the Fang of Shadows. He is the reason their empire still stands." The leader's voice was deep, cold, like stone grinding against stone. "So this is the human," he said, his words carried across the jungle. "Small, fragile, yet you dare stand against hunters. You dare shame us with our own traps." The human stood in the middle of the circle, his broken stick in hand, his body bruised, his arm bleeding, his breath heavy, but his eyes burned with steady fire. He answered calmly, "I don't care for your pride. I care for them." He nodded toward the mother and child. The hunters laughed cruelly, but the leader did not laugh. His glowing eyes narrowed. "Then you will die for them." He stepped forward, slow and heavy. The ground shook under his weight. The circle tightened, the hunters waiting, hungry for blood. The human's grip tightened on the stick. His mind worked quickly, watching, measuring. The leader swung first, his blade slicing the air. The human dodged just in time, the blade cutting into the earth. Sparks flew. The human rolled aside, striking the leader's leg with his stick. The blow made a dull sound against armor, barely a scratch. The leader laughed. Weak. His blade rose again, faster, sharper. The human ducked, the edge passing inches from his head. He stabbed upward with the stick, aiming for the gaps in the armor. The leader twisted, blocking with his gauntlet. The force knocked the human back, his body crashing against a tree. The child screamed, "Human!" The mother held the child close, her face tight with fear. But the human stood again, dirt falling from his shoulders, his lip bleeding, his voice calm. "I've been called weak before." The leader snarled, charging again. His strikes were fast, heavy, each swing enough to kill. The human moved like water, rolling, dodging, using roots and branches to block the deadly blade. He struck when he could, small hits, sharp and quick, always looking for a weakness. The hunters shouted, their voices echoing, "Kill him, Fang of Shadows, kill the human." But slowly, the human's movements began to confuse the leader. He was not fighting with power, he was fighting with patience. With every dodge, very strike, he studied, waiting for a mistake. At last, he saw it, a small gap under the leader's arm, where the armor bent with every swing. The human's eyes locked on it. His breath slowed, his grip tightened. The leader raised his blade high for a killing strike. The human stepped forward instead of back. The blade cut the air, but the human drove the broken stick upward with all his strength. The sharp wood pierced the gap, sinking deep. The leader roared in pain, his blade dropping. His body staggered. The hunters gasped, their eyes wide. They had never seen their leader wounded by something so simple. The human pulled back, his chest rising with heavy breaths, his voice low but steady. "Armor breaks, flesh bleeds, you are not untouchable." The leader tore the stick from his side, blood dripping. His eyes burned with fury. "You will pay for that, human." He raised his blade again, slower now, his movements heavy with pain. The human stepped back, ready, his body shaking, but his spirit unbroken. The mother whispered to the child, her eyes shining, "Do you see, child? The hunter's leader bleeds because of a human. Remember this night." The hunters growled, their circle restless. They did not laugh anymore. They did not mock. They watched with unease. For the first time, they wondered if the fang of shadows could fall. The human wiped blood from his face, his eyes sharp, his voice calm. You wanted to break me, but tonight it is you who breaks. The leader roared, his voice shaking the jungle, and the final clash began. Humans are special. The jungle shook with the roar of the leader. His blade glowed as he raised it high. His armor dripped with blood where the human had struck. The hunters circled, their red eyes burning, waiting for the end. The child clutched the mother, whispering, "He cannot win. He is only human." The mother held the child close, but her eyes never left the fight. Her voice was faint, yet steady. "Wait, child, watch. Humans are different." The leader charged, his strikes heavy, his blade cut through trees, shattered roots, sparks lighting the mist. The human dodged left and right, his body fast though weak. Each movement was pain, but he never stopped. He grabbed a vine and swung aside as the blade struck. The tree cracked, falling between them. Dust rose. The human coughed, but his eyes stayed sharp. He looked not at the blade, but at the leader's steps, the weight, the rhythm, the weakness. The leader roared, "You cannot win, human. You are soft flesh. I am steel." His strikes grew wilder, his fury stronger than his aim. The human's lips curled into a faint smile. "Steel rusts, flesh learns," he whispered. The leader lunged. The human rolled low, grabbing a stone. He flung it into the leader's mask. The alien staggered, blinded for a moment. The human rushed forward, driving the broken stick once more into the weak point under the arm. Deeper this time. The leader screamed, blood pouring. He swung wildly, but the human slipped aside. The jungle floor shook under the weight of his rage. The hunters cried out, fear twisting their voices. The human stepped back, his chest heaving, his voice carried across the circle. "You thought humans were weak because we have no claws, no armor, no great power, but you forgot what makes us strong. We see, we think, we adapt." The hunters growled, uneasy. Their leader, their fang of shadows, was faltering before a lone human. The leader stumbled, falling to one knee, his blade still gripped tight. His red eyes glared through his mask. "You are nothing, human. A spark in the dark. You will die, and the galaxy will forget you." The human stood tall, blood dripping down his arm, his voice steady as stone. "Maybe, but not today." He moved fast, using every ounce of strength left. He swung the sharp end of the stick again, striking the leader's throat joint. The mask cracked, the blade fell. The fang of shadows roared in pain, then silence. His massive body collapsed to the ground, shaking the earth. The jungle froze. The hunters stepped back, their red eyes wide. Their leader was down, beaten not by an army, not by machines, but by one human with nothing but will. The child gasped, tears falling. "He did it, mother, he did it." The mother's silver eyes shone, her voice soft but full of respect. "Yes, child, the human has done what many thought impossible." The hunters growled, but none stepped forward. Their circle broke, fear heavy in their movements. They had seen something they could not understand. The human stood over the fallen leader, his stick broken, his body weak, but his spirit unbroken. He looked at the hunters, his voice sharp. "Leave now or face the same." For the first time, the hunters obeyed. They backed away, vanishing into the shadows. Their roars fading into the jungle night. Silence returned, heavy but alive. The child ran to the human, hugging his leg tightly. "You saved us, human. You saved my mother." The mother bowed her head, her voice trembling. "You are no ordinary being, human. You are something more, something even the hunters fear." The human sat down, exhausted, his breath slow, his eyes lifted to the stars above the jungle canopy. His voice was quiet but strong. "This is not the end. They will come again, and next time, it will not be only how they hunt." The mother nodded, her eyes serious. "Yes, human, their empire will not forget this night, but neither will I. I will tell my people what I saw, a human who stood against hunters and